everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today. In today's video, we are going to be doing your very first print then cut project. We're going to go over every single step and I'm going to show you how to make this really cool sticker sheet. I fit a ton of stickers on here and I'm going to show you all of the tips and tricks to do this, how to pick out a good quality sticker image to start with, and I'm also providing you with a link to a bunch of really good images that you can use from Creative Fabrica down below. If you haven't signed up with Creative Fabrica, I highly recommend it. It's $3.99 a month with unlimited downloads, commercial use license, all the things you could ever need. It's so much cheaper than Cricut Design Space and it offers you a lot more than Design Space offers you when it comes to images and fonts. So highly recommend that. And I'll link some videos down below where I talk a little bit more about some of the things that you can get with Creative Fabrica. And before we get started, be sure to subscribe here. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. Now, without further ado, let's make your very first print and cut project. When doing your first print and cut project, you're going to want an image that's going to be easy to work with. So I have made you a list of favorites over here on Creative Fabrica that you can use to do your first project because I find that these images are super easy to work with. So when you're looking for a sticker image that you want to use, you can just search for sticker and you're going to find a lot that are going to be perfect for your first project. But one thing you want to look for is that the image is solid, doesn't have any strange areas outside of the sticker that it might want to cut out and things like that. So these are a great example here where they have a offset already built into them. Those are great, but I am going to show you how to add an offset to your sticker, but you can see I have a bunch of different ones to choose from. But today we're going to do the Mugs, a year of Mugs clip art. So I'm going to click on it and I want to download the image by clicking the big green download button. I'm going to save this into my print and cut folder and I highly recommend that you start off your journey with Cricut or any other crafting as organized as possible. So I do like to make sure that I have my different folders. I'm simply going to click save, but we have to do one more step with this, which is unzipping or extracting the folder. And that just makes it so that we have access to these files. So I'm going to click extract all, and then I want to make sure show extracted files when complete is selected and click the word extract. Now that that's done, you can close this folder that has like the pink extract at the top. We don't need to look at that right now. And I'm going to do one more step with you because this will help you from the beginning of your journey. That way you're not wasting a ton of space on your PC or whatever you're using. You can delete the EPS and the JPG files. We're not going to be using those at all with Cricut, so I just delete them right off the bat. Then I'm going to open up our year of mugs in the PNG format. And you're going to see that you have a couple of different files. Now, this one right here is just the listing photo. So again, I delete that so that it's gone and I don't have to worry about it. And it's just out of the way. We don't need to keep that. Now, you also do have this year in mugs poster, which if you want to print it out, cool. I'm going to open it and show it to you. You can definitely use that. It's very, very cute. But I'm going to go ahead and delete that file as well because it's not one that I'm ever going to use. And now we have all of our mugs here ready to be loaded into Cricut Design Space. So let's head over to there and I'm going to show you how to upload these. When you open Cricut Design Space, it's going to open this main page, which is going to show you all sorts of things, images, collections, projects, all of that fun stuff. But what we want to do is select New Project, which is this green button up in the upper right-hand corner. Now from here, what I want to do is choose this upload option right here in the lower left area of your screen. And you're going to click on upload image. Now you can browse for your image, or I like to drag and drop. I just find that so much easier. Now keep in mind with Cricut, you can only drag and drop one image at a time. And that's true for anything that you're doing here. So I'm dragging it and dropping it over into my Cricut Design Space. Now this is a PNG, so what we need to do here is click continue, and it's going to bring us to this screen, which is where we could remove backgrounds or anything else like that. But because these are made specifically to already be stickers, we don't need to remove anything. We can just click apply and continue. Now this screen here, we've got a couple of options. We have the multiple layers option. That would be if you wanted to use multiple colors of vinyl to create this, which I do not recommend. You could also use the single layer, which is just for cutting, and you can see that it's black. But because we're using print then cut, we want to use this full color flat graphic image. So go ahead and click on that and click continue. Now it's going to bring up this, which is where we can add any names that we want to or keywords. So you can like add calendar, sticker, mug, April, butterfly, whatever you want to do. But this will help you eventually like search for your items if you want to search for them later on in your uploads. Now you can add it to any of your collections if you want to. I'm going to add it to my stickers and click upload. And now it's going to put it directly into our Cricut Design Space. Now it is going to come in huge, but that's okay. We'll address that once we have all the mugs loaded. It comes in large because it's a high quality image. Now what I want to do is I'm going to upload each of my other ones the exact same way. So I'm going to get that done really quickly, and then I'll come back and we'll show you our next steps. Once you have all of your designs loaded into Design Space, it's going to look a little bit crazy. So let me just kind of go over some of the things that you're going to see on your screen or that you might see on your screen. So for instance, right here, you're going to see this little exclamation point next to your images. If you click on it, it tells you why it's there. And it's there because your image is too large to print for your print and cut size. And don't worry, we'll be addressing that. You'll also see this low resolution. It says this image will print poorly. For best results, make it smaller or use a new image with higher resolution. You're going to see that happen a lot. I have never had a problem, so I pretty much just ignore that. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to use the select all option that is up here at the very top of our screen. That's going to select all of my designs, and then I can size them down all at the same time. It just makes it a little bit easier to do it this way. Now sometimes Design Space can be a little bit slow with its resizing, and that's okay. It happens. I'm just going to pull this up a little bit. I can just use my mouse and drag that up, and then I'm just going to size them down a bit more just so we can kind of see them all, and we'll resize them in a minute too to fit a little bit better on our planner and within our printable area. But what I want to show you first is each of your stickers. Now I want to also discuss how these are going to cut. So these are going to cut all of the area around the image. These are still a little bit too big. I want you guys to be able to see them all on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to size these down just a bit more. Like I said, I want you to be able to see all of them on our screen so that you can really get an idea of how we're going to create these stickers. So again, I'm just going to kind of plop them all on the screen so you can see them. And what I want to discuss with you is where it's going to cut. So with print then cut, it's going to cut any portion that is transparent, meaning there is no color in that area. If you want to check where it's going to cut, a really easy way to do that is go down here where it says blank canvas. And if you click on that, you can change the color of your background. And you can change it to anything that you want. I like to just change it to kind of whatever is going to contrast against the sticker colors that I have. So you can use blue, pink, whatever you want to use. It doesn't matter. It's just so that we can see what parts of our stickers are going to cut out. That's a little hard to see. I think I'm going to go with the light green. So you can see here that it's going to cut our handles, like in between our handles, and it's going to cut around our straws and these little details around the leaves and the flower. One that I have a major concern about right here is our butterfly. These have these really tiny little antenna pieces that are sticking out, and those are super thin. Now, I personally do like to add offsets to my stickers, and an offset is just an area around your sticker that it's going to cut out so that it's not pressed up right against the color of your sticker. This is something that I personally really like the look of, but you don't have to add them if you don't want to. You could cut them out just like they are right here, and they would be fine. The butterfly, you might lose the antenna, but otherwise it should be fine. Now, if we want to add that offset, it's extremely easy to do, and we'll start with this butterfly one. So I'm going to select the item that I want to add the offset to, and an offset is basically just an outline. Go up to the top and go under offset, and you're going to see that you have some options here. You have your distance, which is how big your offset is, and you have either rounded corners or you could do squared corners. I tend to just leave it on rounded. I just think they look a little bit nicer. Now you can use your slide bar to change the size of your offset, or you can use the numbers up here if you know kind of what size you want to go with. But I usually just use the slide bar. Now I have this at a 0.083, which for me is a size that I prefer for my offsets. I don't like them to be really big. I like them to be a little bit smaller so they're a little less noticeable. Once you're happy with the size of that offset, simply click apply. Now, I don't want a black offset. I don't want it to look like that. I would just like my offset to be white, meaning that it's not going to print out anything. It's just going to have this nice white section to make it easier for the Cricut to cut it. If it cuts a little off-centered, that's okay. You won't notice it as much with a white offset. Once I have that selected and I'm happy with my offset and my mug, I want to select both the items, which I can do by just drawing a little square around them. And then down here at the bottom of my screen, I want to choose this flatten option. This basically tells Design Space that you only want it to cut around the outside of your image and not around the color. So it's only going to cut around the white part. Now we need to add an offset to each of our stickers. And like I said, you don't have to add the offset. It's totally up to you. Do what you want to do. There's no really wrong way. You could make your offsets colored if you wanted to as well, but I just don't prefer that. But there are a lot of ways you can do this. And like I said, you don't have to do an offset if that's not your vibe. It's just something that I prefer because I just like the look of it. Now I will link below a video that shows you how to calibrate your machine, which you should do before you do any of your first print and cut projects. However, I just calibrated before I did this video, so I didn't want to recalibrate my machine because it was calibrated really, really well. So when it gets really good, you don't want to mess with it. But I will link below a video if you need to calibrate your machine to make sure that it cuts around your images correctly. Calibrate basically teaches the Cricut where it needs to cut and where the little lines are that it's going to read so that it can cut accurately. It's really important that you do this from time to time, especially after some of the larger updates that Cricut Design Space does. When they do some of these updates, it can mess with your calibration, and that's something you just want to be aware of. So sometimes just go ahead, do a little calibration every once in a while, and it's going to save you a lot of headache. So I'm going to go ahead and finish doing the rest of these offsets. Once I'm done with those, I'm going to show you how to set this up so that it's going to all fit on one sheet, because these don't need to be very big, and how to make sure that everything comes out exactly the way you want it to. Now that we have all of our little mugs flattened to their offset, I'm going to go ahead and pull in a really great trick, especially if you are new to print and cut, that's going to save you material, time, headache, all the things. This is my print and cut template page. So Design Space only gives us a certain amount of space to print on your printable vinyl, printable sticker paper, cardstock, whatever you may be using. Now I have a free design that you can use and download. I'll link it down below for you. And it's got all the different print and cut sizes with these little templates so you can fit as much as possible. Now what I want to do is I've sized this down to 7.3 wide and it sizes it to 9.927. I haven't updated this one on my upload, but it is updated on the uploads that you get. So what I want to do first is I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to send this to the back. Now we are ready to resize our images, and the area that I have to work with is about 1.25 inches. So it's a pretty small space because I use a smaller planner, but you make these as big as you want to. But for me, I plan on putting them in my planner, so I do need to make them a little bit smaller. So what I do is I select one of the stickers, and it doesn't matter which one you start with, and I find out which end is bigger, so whether the width or the height is the larger number. In this case, it's the larger number that's high, so I'm going to change this to 1.2. I'm actually going to do 1.23 just to give me a little extra leeway on my spacing. But this is going to be a pretty small sticker, but that's one thing that I really like is that I can make small stickers, I can make big stickers, so you size them however you want to. But what I'm going to do now is once I get one sticker done, I'm just going to line it up over in a corner of my sheet. And I want to make sure the whole thing sits on this sheet. And then I'm just going to go to the next one and do the same thing. Width is smaller than the height, so I'm going to change the height to 1.23 and size it down. Now again, these are going to be a little bit small, and that's okay. And you can get them pretty close together, but you don't want to overlap them. That way you can fit a ton of these on one page. Now because these are so small, I'm going to be able to make multiples, which is totally fine because I can use them elsewhere. Now this one here is wider than it is tall, so I'm going to make this one 1.2. 3 wide instead of tall. And then I'm going to go ahead and again set this on to this blue template as close to the top and the other cup as I feel comfortable. You're going to do this for each of your stickers. Again, just putting in those measurements that you want. So again, this one was taller than it was wide. And I'm going to go ahead and slide this on to my mat. So I'm going to do this for each and every one of the stickers, and whatever stickers you chose, whatever design you chose, nothing changes about this part of the directions. Everything is going to be the same regardless of what images you choose. So let me go ahead. I'm going to finish getting these all sized down and laid out. And once I have the initial 12 put on here, I will show you how we can adjust to add some more stickers. You can see I have a ton of unused space because my stickers are going to be quite small. Now you can fill this up with anything that you want to. I actually am just going to fill it up with more of these because I figure I can use these stickers on each of the weeks as well, just to add a little color, something fun and fresh. So what you can do is I want you to go over to your layers panel and you're going to click on every single layer that says flatten. You'll see that you should have 12. Then when you're up here at the top, you'll see you have these 2 squares, and this is your duplicate option. So I'm going to duplicate it, and then before I click anywhere else, I'm going to pull these over, and then I'm going to duplicate them again so that I have a ton of these to work with. And if we end up having to delete some of our duplications, that's okay, but I'm going to give myself at least 3 sets of these to work with. Now I am just going to kind of grab them all and just see if I can just slide them on real easy, and then I can always take some extras and fill them in. But it looks like honestly, if I just grab them, I'll be able to kind of line them all up and fit quite a few in. And then this last set, I can kind of piece into these spaces and I should be able to fit a last full set. I don't think it'll fit down here. So once you've got it kind of laid out here where you want it and you're happy, just take these extra ones and start kind of filling in these areas. Again, making sure that nothing overlaps and nothing is sticking out over the side here on the edge. If it sticks out over the side on the edge, it won't print and it won't actually allow you to print. So like I said, I'm just going to kind of fill these in, and that'll give me like 4 sets of these stickers, which is totally fine. I can always use them for another year and save them, so there's a lot you can do with them. But I want to make sure that I'm filling up as much of my material as I can. The less material waste I have, the better. That way I'm able to not have to try to throw away perfectly good products, because again, I can use these stickers another time. Now, we may need to squeeze a few things in and up a little bit more because I do have a few more of these stickers and they're not quite going to fit. So what you'll do is you're going to select each of your stickers and just kind of scooch them up just a bit. So you can see that I could move these a lot closer to all of this. But again, the whole time you're doing this, I want you to be really aware that nothing overlaps and that nothing is hanging over the edge. So I can, again, move these up a little bit. Some of them I can't move quite as much as others, but I can definitely squeeze a few more things into this so that we're going to be able to maybe fit those extra stickers. If not the end of the world, but I really would like to fit them. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust these stickers quickly, and then we will squish those other stickers in and I'll show you our next steps. I had to shift a little bit and I did do one sideways just to fit a little bit more, but that is 4 sets of these stickers, so I'm set for a while. Now our next step, first thing I always want to recommend is before you do any major big changes, use this save option to save your design. I'm going to call these mug of the year and save them. It's really important that you save your projects throughout working on them so that if Design Space decides to have a little bit of a freak out, because a lot of times with print and cut, especially when it has a lot of information on it with a lot of images, it can cause Design Space to crash. So if you save it, when you come back after a crash, your work is still there. Now, the next thing that I need to do is to hide our template. Now, you can do that a couple ways. You can delete it if you want to, but a lot of times I don't like to do that. I would rather just hide it by using this little eyeball. If you click the little eyeball, you'll see that it goes away. that way, if you come back and you want to redo these stickers for any reason, you have the template already in there and you don't have to bring it back in. So that's just a quick little tip. Now, you've got all your stickers, and I'm going to go ahead and click save one more time before I do this next step, just in case Design Space freaks out. So you'll see how I have them laid out. I can fit just an absolute ton of stickers on one sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and hit make, but I'm going to show you a quick trick right after this as to why we do this, because if you allow Cricut to lay out your stickers, it is going to waste a lot of material, and you're going to see that here in a second. It's going to take a second for it to load, but you're going to see that what it does is it lines your stickers up. But now we've got all this space that could have totally been used, and now we've got a bunch of stickers over here that could have been fit on the other page. That's why I don't like to let Design Space lay out the stickers for us. So you can see all of our stickers fit on one page with no material waste. So to prevent that from happening, you can do this one of two ways, and this is really important when you're doing print and cut projects so that you don't waste material. We all know it's expensive. I want you to grab the entire design, so select all or use that square to draw around it. Now, you can do it one of two ways. You can attach your design here, which is going to hold everything in place, and that'll stay the way that it's attached on the canvas. That's absolutely a valid way to do this, but you can also flatten everything, and it's going to just give you a little less to look at in your layers panel, but you still have all your individual stickers because you can unflatten them later. They do the same function, but I find that this way just makes it a little bit cleaner. Now again, I've changed something, so I do want to make sure that I save my project before I move on. Even though I already saved it, I just like to, at each step towards the end, make sure that I'm saving it so I don't have to go back and redo a bunch of stuff. Now you'll notice that it takes a little while to save this because it is a lot of information for Design Space. The next thing I do now is when I click make, it's going to hold it all onto that one piece of material, whatever you're printing these on, whether you're using sticker paper, printable iron-on, whatever it may be. This is going to hold it all in place onto that one piece of your material. Now this part can take a few moments to load because again, this is a lot of thinking for Design Space, so don't panic if it doesn't load right away. Now I want to point out a couple things on this screen because being new to print and cut, you may see some things that are a little bit concerning, but don't worry. So first thing you're going to see is this red dotted line. That is not going to print. That just shows you your printable area. Now, could we have fit something right here? Probably. And right here? We probably could have. But I wasn't about to try. It wasn't worth it. I didn't need the extra stickers. The next thing you'll see is this big black box. And that big black box is another part of the bounding area for your print and cut. But that large black box is not going to print. You may see some videos from myself and other creators that does have a solid black box around it, but Design Space updated and now they just do the corner marks, which you'll see in our next step. So once you have everything here on the mat and you're ready to go, all you have to do is click continue down in this lower right-hand corner. Now again, this can take a second to process, so don't worry if it doesn't process right away. And also if you don't see an image over here right away, don't fret, it will come up. Now in this section, what you want to do is select this big green send to printer. When I click that, it's going to bring up this page. Now remember, I said that it prints those little corner marks. This is where you will see your corner marks. This is what your print will actually look like. So this is a great way to make sure that you don't have any extra lines that you didn't want. You don't have any extra stickers or something that you didn't want. This is a great place to check that because this is exactly what will come out of your printer. Now, you do have a couple of things here that we need to discuss. Number one is your page size. Cricut Design Space can print a bunch of different page sizes, but you want to make sure that your page size matches your material size. So for this, I am using an 8.5 by 11 letter, but I can use lots of other sizes if I so desired. Then I want to make sure that my printer is the correct printer that I want to use. And for me, I want to use my Epson ET2720. That is my inkjet printer. My cat agrees. So In that instance, what I want you to note is what type of material you're using and what type of ink it's compatible with. Now, most is going to be compatible with inkjet ink, which is what a lot of home printers use, such as the HPs, Canons, and Epson. Now, I have used all the different brands, and I have been most impressed with my Epson. It pulls the paper incorrectly, it prints beautifully, and it has never given me trouble, thankfully. So I do highly recommend the Epson brand printers, and I'll link some down below. Now, what we want to do here is look at our next options. We have copies. So if you want to make a couple copies of this, you absolutely can do that by just changing your copies right here. The next item is the add bleed option. And you're going to see a lot of people discuss this and tell you to turn it off all the time, and that's why your print isn't coming out right. But I'm going to put a video up in the corner here that explains bleed in a lot more detail and why it's helpful and why it's not and when to use it, because it is kind of in-depth. But basically what bleed does is it takes any color that's on the edge of your sticker and it pushes it out a little bit further so that if the Cricut doesn't cut it perfectly, it won't show any of the white material behind it. Now, we put an offset on it, so the bleed does not matter. There's no reason to have it on for this, so I am going to go ahead and turn it off. But if you have a sticker that doesn't have a white offset, you do want to leave that bleed on because it will prevent any white area from showing. The next one down is super important, and I want you to use this every single time you use Print and Cut. This is the Use System Dialog option. Click that to turn it green, and I want you to press Print. Now, what this does is it brings up preferences for our printer so that we can change things like the print quality, the paper type, we can turn off our high speed or our bidirectional printing, and so many other settings. So what I want you to do is once this opens, again, you may need to select the right printer if you've used a different printer. I have a couple, so I need to make sure to select my printer, which again is my ET2720. Then I'm going to go here to Preferences, and this is where we're going to be able to change some things. First thing you want to do is just double check that document size. Is that correct letter 8.5 by 11? The next thing I do is I always just double check my orientation, should be portrait. And then here is paper type. Now this is something that is pretty dependent on what material you are using. Now for this, I'm going to be using Nito sticker labels, and I want to use their ultra glossy. I think they're so pretty. But this is something that's going to really depend on the material you are using. And I'll link some of my favorite sticker papers down below if you want to check them out. And I'll link below the Print and Cut playlist so you can check out when I've used all these different papers and all that stuff. But what I have found works really well with this glossy is I use the photo paper glossy setting. And then I want to make sure to change that quality from standard to high. And you want to do that on any of your paper settings that you're using. That way you get the best print quality possible. Now we want to change one more setting, and that's going to be under More Options. Under the More Options down here at the Additional Settings section, I want you to turn off the high-speed print. Now, it may also show as bidirectional printing, but you want to turn that off. It's going to help prevent any lines from showing in your print. Now, let's say you're thinking to yourself, Corinne, ma'am, I don't have these settings. Why don't I have these settings? And it's because the drivers for your printer were not fully installed when you installed your printer. And don't worry, it's totally a common problem, and it's so easy to fix. Just go to your manufacturer's website. So if you have Epson or HP or Canon, you go to that manufacturer's website, and there's a search tool. I want you to search the model of your printer. So for me, it would be an Epson EcoTank 2720 drivers. You're going to search that on their website, and there will be a place for you to install and download and then install the drivers, and that will give you all of these settings. So once you have that all in place, all you do is click OK and click Print to send it to the printer. Now, I am going to link down below a video all about test cuts because that's something you want to do before you start cutting your materials, and I'm going to go over picking your material cut setting in just a second. Once your design has printed, it's going to just give you this little page that basically says verify your print quality. So you do want to make sure that you have your 4 registration marks, and there should be a directional arrow in that top left corner. And you don't need to measure, but it says there should be at least 1/2 inch between sensor marks. Don't worry about that. I've done it a ton and it doesn't really seem to matter. You can click done here on your screen, and we want to connect to our Cricut device. So we're going to go ahead and select our maker that we're going to be using for this. Now from here, I already know what setting I need to use, but I want you to do test cuts if you've never cut before. What's great about this is you don't need to print out anything to do a test cut. I will link a video that talks about test cutting, even though I do it on vinyl. It's going to be the same concept for your sticker paper. Now I do want this to be a kiss cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Browse All Materials, and I'm going to use the iron-on setting. This setting works great with my Nito glossy paper. So I'm going to choose iron-on, and then all I have to do is click done. Now from here, it is going to turn our mirror on. So this is one thing we need to make sure that we take off. So you're going to click edit, and you're going to make sure that your stickers are not flipped. Design Space loves to do crazy things that we don't want it to do. So I always have you guys just double check, because they were doing like an automatic mirroring and it doesn't always turn on. So I just compare it to the picture that I have. It looks good to me. So we don't have any mirror turned on. Now we're going to go ahead and load this into our machine. I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to get these cut out, and we're going to have really cute stickers to use in our planner. We are ready to load our mat with our printable material, whatever you've chosen. In this case, I'm using Nito sticker paper. And you'll notice that in the top corner, there is that arrow that we talked about. You want to make sure that the arrow, when you load your mat, goes into your machine this way, so the arrow will be at the top. Now, when I load my mat, if you've never seen my videos before, I take and put my mat under the door of my Cricut. That way I'm only working with just a little bit of the sticky mat. Now for print and cut, you want to put it in the upper corner here, which I know looks like the lower corner right now, but it is the upper. And you want to make sure that you get that pretty darn straight on there. And then you want to make sure it's held down really well. Now I'm using a light grip mat for this. You can use a little bit of a less sticky standard mat, but whatever mat you have, you just need to make sure it's not going to rip your sticker paper. Now I've got that arrow up here in the corner. It's going into my machine first. I'm going to load this. Now what our machine is going to do is it will turn on a light that's in the center of your carrier here. And that light is going to help it read all these black registration marks around the corners. I'm going to go ahead and hit the Cricut button, let it go ahead, read those lines, and cut out all of our stickers. Now, once your stickers are done cutting, I don't want you to unload the mat just yet, because you always want to double check your cut that it went through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the back corner down here, and I know you can't totally see my hand, but I've got the back corner down here, and I am just making sure they didn't cut all the way through, which they didn't, because remember we said we wanted these to do a kiss cut, which means that our stickers are going to be staying on to our mat. So I always just are onto our backing. So I just always want to make sure they didn't cut through. That way I'm just aware. And then what I also want to do is I'm going to grab the corner of my sticker paper and I'm going to separate it from the backing. And sometimes that's not always the easiest to do. I tend to struggle, so I usually use a pin pen, but I am definitely like riding the struggle bus on this one. So don't worry if you struggle with it as well. It's not just you. So now I've got the corner peeled. I peeled the other one instead. I don't know if you guys can see that real well, but I'm going to go ahead and peel the backing back just a little bit. And look at that. Can you see? It's coming away without our stickers. So now I know that it didn't cut through. So when I take this off, I'm not going to be worried. And I know that it cut through just the top portion. So let me move our machine out of the way because I want to show you how to remove this from your mat. Now my mat is not super sticky, but if you have a stickier mat, I want you to flip your mat over and I want you to roll it back. I don't want you to fold it. I just want you to give it a gentle roll. And then you're going to use your hand and your fingers to kind of walk it off of your mat. That way your stickers don't curl. Now I am going to show you again. Here, we'll pull the whole backing off. So again, you do your stickers how you want. I just wanted to show you how to do these easy, easy, easy kiss cut stickers. But check this out. Now I can peel this backing off. And as I peel, my stickers are gonna stay on my sheet. Now you don't have to peel your backing off if you don't want to, but I wanted to show you just how they came out. And also it makes it a lot easier when you're gonna go to use these and put these on your planner or whatever you're using them for. It's a lot easier to get them off because now all I have to do is kind of pull back a corner. Let's see if I can get this one. And you just take your sticker and you have your little sticker. Now I'll give you a closer look up of these so you can see what they look like. Now you can make your sticker sheets however you want, whether you want to cut all the way through the backing or not, it's up to you. You can also use whatever images you want, but don't forget I've sent you a list of all my favorites down below that are really great for your first print and cut project. Also, be sure that you test some of your different sticker papers just to see how they print with your printer because everybody's materials, everybody's printers are gonna be a little bit different, but definitely make sure that you're turning off any of that high speed or bidirectional printing. That really causes a lot of the issues when you get kind of poor print quality with your stickers. Now, if you have any questions about this or anything else that we do here on the channel, please let me know down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure that you're subscribed. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.